All right, welcome back. We've been talking a lot on this show, on this network, about the growth of AI and data centers, and why not? It's powering nearly the entire economy. Well, your next guest sort of right at the center of both. He runs Trane Technologies, provides cooling systems to AI-driven data centers, and more. Stock's been a winner, up more than 24% so far this year. They just raised their full-year guidance on revenue and earnings. And here now for a Power Lunch exclusive is Dave Regnery. He is chairman and CEO of Trane Technologies, a semi-recent spin-out of Ingersoll Rand. We know something about spin-outs.
There you go.
Dave, we're all good. And I want to be clear, you're not just data centers. Trane has been around for 100-plus years. Everybody knows you guys from the other business. How much is data centers, AI, whatever, contributing to your overall and your core business?
Yeah, well, let me just give you a little bit back. First of all, thanks for having me on your show. I'm glad to be here. Look, 6 years ago, we spun off our industrial business, and that became Ingersoll Rand, and we rebranded ourselves Trane Technologies. And here we are 6 years later. You know, we were $12.5 billion business. Today, we'll be close to a $24 billion business. So we've had great success.
Or market cap?
That'd be revenue.
Wow.
Market cap was 30 billion. We're now well over 100 billion now.
This year, that spin-out happened before
data centers. That's why I said, look, data centers, we don't disclose the size of our data centers for competitive reasons, but I would tell you it's a very, very strong vertical for us. And we've been strong in data centers for decades, and we'll continue to be strong well into the future. But if you looked at our second quarter earnings results, we had 37% order growth. And if you look within our largest business, which is our commercial HVAC business in the Americas, we had 50% equipment growth. So we track like 14 different verticals in that business, and the great majority of them had growth of over 20%. So data centers is very strong, but I would also tell you that we're seeing growth that's very, very broad-based right now.
There are over 800-ish, 840-ish mega projects in the United States of all kinds. About 20% have actually begun construction. You know, a shovel in the ground, laying concrete, whatever it might be, which means, I'm not a math whiz, but I think that means the other 80 haven't been started yet. Do you see any signs of cancellations, delays, backlog issues?
No, we have not seen cancellations. In fact, our order growth is very strong in these mega projects, but I would also tell you the pipeline keeps growing. And every quarter, I get asked by the sell-side analysts, how are we doing with the mega projects? And we're really good at triangulating and how to close these. But that pipeline continues to grow. Now, a good chunk of that today is data centers, but we're seeing nice activity there.
When you see Jensen Huang lining up $500 billion of potential finance, I mean, are you salivating? Because
I am smiling.
You are smiling, yes. I mean, if we show the stock chart, that's over the past year. But if you zoom out over the past 5 years, it's been a rocket. So that's obviously where people are most excited to hear about those capabilities. And what can you tell us? Because even as more and more money is going into this, there's more and more local opposition to data centers.
Yeah, we work very closely with hyperscalers and NVIDIA with the chip manufacturing to develop what's called reference designs. And these are data centers of the future. And think of the future as 2 to 3 years out. And it's really about how you make a data center from a thermal management system more efficient than it is today. And it's a lot of fun. I can't tell you all the things that we're working on, but you can expect that the data center of tomorrow is even going to be more efficient than the data centers out there today.
Say that in a way that the voter would understand, or the person in a community who's worried that their bills are going up, their resources are going to be taxed.
The rivers are going to run dry.
Yeah, Kelly, there's a lot of misperceptions on data centers. The first one, as you just said, Brian, is water usage. The majority of the data centers jobs that we're doing right now are closed loop systems. They're not wasting water. They're not even using water other than to prime the system. You'll hear people talk a lot about the temperature that's required to cool the chips. And whether it's 45 degrees C or 31 degrees C, it doesn't matter to us. We're going to develop a system that's optimal to perform at that level. And when you think of 45C, right, that's like 113F, okay, or 114F, if I did my math right. But you could use a lot what they call free cooling. So in that environment, what you're doing is you're letting the ambient air cool the water. So you basically run it through what's called dry coolers or smart chillers in our case, and you actually let the ambient versus running a compressor, which saves a lot of energy.
Using your technology means that data centers will be less energy intensive in the future?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How
That's
much
our
less
goal.
But the chips are going to use more electricity.
Well, they are, but there's trade-offs, right? When we save energy, it's more compute power. right? So it's not like a building. Like we do a lot of work in buildings to make buildings work more efficiently. And most buildings waste about 30% of energy that they pay for today, which is just amazing to me. But in a data center, when we save energy, it's just more compute power for the data center. So they could have more tokens that are being generated.
Well, it's because we have a lot of energy here in the United States. Maybe we have too much and it's too cheap. I mean, I'm being a little bit sarcastic. You go to Europe, it's not the case, right? Probably all of our viewers have been to Europe, know somebody that has record heat right now. Okay, water levels are low. Air conditioning doesn't exist in much of Europe, but data centers need cooling. Europe is a big opportunity. Do you see Europe having the money and the ability to buy your products to cool any data center they want to build?
We do very well in Europe. I would say that what we're seeing right now in Europe is the pipeline. So so this is the planning phase, has really increased. And think of it as, the equation would be, do I have power on the grid? Do I have power at the site? Can I do self-generation? Or do I have storage capability? And when you take those three, you start to balance when you could get permitting for these jobs. So we're very bullish on Europe, especially in the second quarter. Our order rates were up over 20% in Europe. And the pipeline, which really gets me excited, is really, really starting to become robust.
So how much are you willing to invest in the data center?
I'd invest a lot in Trane Technologies. I'm already there.
Investors, to Kelly's point, have. How much is Trane willing to invest in this market?
We've expanded what we call our applied systems, which is a product that would be used in a data center. We've expanded it over 4x in the last 3 years. And I would tell you that we continue to invest at a very high level. Now, in the HVAC industry, we're pretty capital light. So think of our CapEx spend being and this year it'll probably be 3% of revenue. But it's relatively cap light. But we continue to expand quite quickly.
Dave, it's a great window into what's happening with all of these data centers and the build out. Really appreciate you being here.
Well, thanks for having me on your show. Enjoyed the conversation.
Dave Regnery, CEO of Trane Technologies.